Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about what I call the R&B slash chord, which is a really common chord that you hear throughout the neo-soul movement and jazz today. It's really a great chord to reach for if you're like a post-rock, math rock guy like I am increasingly these days, and find that you only reach for major and minor chords in your songs. Okay, so what I'm talking about specifically is the shape in which you put an F major over a G. That's the general shape, and you can move it around wherever you like. And if you consider the G to be your root note, what that ends up being is you have your 1 and then 9, 7, 11, and there's your 9 again. And what's interesting about this chord is that in the examples that I'm about to show you, it sounds particularly open, and it has a bit of a jazzy flavor, which is a bit counterintuitive because often when we think of making something jazzy, quote unquote, it involves adding notes. It involves adding harmonic color, because what we mean by jazzy in a modern music context is really just adding harmonic color to a chord. So what I like about this chord is that it has this nice unique color to it, but it gets it not from adding notes, but from subtracting them and subtracting content, making it a little more ambiguous where you are harmonically, which I'll explain more as we go. So I'm going to show now 3 different examples that use this chord. They all happen to use it on the major 6, but you could use it anywhere you like. Yeah, so here I very much wanted to start out with an example of this chord in its natural habitat, so to speak. So this is very much a neo-soul jazz type of context. Basically the way that the F over G is functioning is as the major 6 chord, which diatonically, if you're talking about A sharp major being the key that we're in at the time, that would be the 6 chord. It's a little confusing because there's some modal interchange. The first 2 chords are really, you could think of them as being from A sharp minor, and then we arrive at A sharp major. What's interesting here is that you arrive at the A sharp major, and then right away you kind of don't have as much of a sense of release. You go from the A sharp major straight to what would be a G minor, but you make it a G sus 7 instead, using this slash chord, which gives it this real sense of cyclicality. It's really open, and you really want to hear it start over again, because we haven't really resolved yet. Yeah, so I chose this because I'm a huge Zelda nerd. It's music that's very close to my heart. Whenever I have a musical concept to explain, I'll try to do it using Zelda if it's there. And I happened to be playing this game recently and heard this exact device there. So basically the same thing is going on here, in which the slash chord is basically standing in. It's just a nice voicing of the major 6 chord, in that it's not as heavy-handed. So what we're doing here essentially is there is some modal interchange here, in that we're switching between C minor and C major. We set ourselves up for this. We have this expectation of hitting that B flat, or hitting that A flat rather. And then we get get back here, we could actually play A minor. That would be kind of a more obvious way of doing this. What's nice about this voicing, this other voicing, is that there's more emphasis on that B, which basically is the major 7 of that C, and to me anyway, it implies the modal interchange more subtly than if I actually went for a full-on A minor chord there. From another perspective too, leaving out the third of that A chord, the A sus that we end up playing, makes it ambiguous whether we're implying an A minor or an A dominant. And that's also part of this nice color and the ambiguity and glassiness there. So this is a clip from a song that I wrote in which sort of the same thing is going on. We're mostly in D minor, and then we're using the B flat major, the 6th chord that's diatonic, to a D minor. But every once in a while, I put in sort of this little bit of brightness, a little bit of implication of D major. But instead of using what would be B minor there, I use that A over B. And the important thing with that is that the only new note that I introduce that's not in D minor is C sharp. So I only introduce what would be the major 7 in reference to D. Since I don't play the 5th of that A by playing the A minor there, I don't play what would be the 3rd of D, so I don't play that F sharp, which is kind of the strongest, the major 3rd of a root is the strongest major note, right? So that's part of why this chord has its particular flavor here. That's all I got for this time. I hope that those explanations were helpful and that you guys feel equipped to run off and use this type of chord on your own. Let me know in the comment section if you have any ideas, any corrections, you might think of what's going on here a little bit differently from me. I'd love to hear from you. I also try to make a video like this about once a month. So if you have other ideas for potential topics or songs that you might want to have analyzed, just let me know and I'll definitely think about it. Anyway guys, I'll see you next month.